Welcome to this explainer. Sometimes it just takes one single day to completely rewrite a nation's future. And that's exactly what we're looking at here. We're diving into a moment that literally shifted the global balance of power and proved that, the masses actually can alter the course of history. This isn't just a story about a building. It's about unbearable tension, desperate rebellion, and a society that had just had enough.
I want you to picture this. Imagine stepping right into this dark, volatile moment where ordinary people just trying to survive their day-to-day lives, finally decide to push back against absolute, unchecked power. Could one day really change a nation? Well, for the French Revolution, the answer is a resounding yes. We're going to break down how a perfect storm of crushing conditions pushed an entire population right past its breaking point, igniting a movement that would ultimately tear down an ancient regime.
All right, let's set the stage with Section 1, A Kingdom in Crisis.
So, in the late 1700s, France is a country of just staggering, jarring contrasts. At the very top, you got the royal family living in absolutely unimaginable luxury. They're totally insulated behind these palace walls, throwing lavish banquets, entirely disconnected from the harsh reality of their own country. But meanwhile, ordinary people are suffering immensely. We're talking about the crushing weight of abject poverty, insanely high taxes just to exist, and skyrocketing food prices. Imagine working grueling, backbreaking hours every single day, and you still can't even afford a simple loaf of bread to feed your starving family, all while your ruler is literally feasting. This economic divide wasn't just unfair, it was lethal. People were hungry, they were angry, and they were desperate for a massive systemic change.
Which brings us to Section 2, Symbol of Absolute Power. Now, to the people of Paris, the Bastille wasn't just some old stone building taking up space in the city. It was this massive, looming fortress, a shadowy prison where political dissidents would just vanish, often locked away in dungeons without a hint of a fair trial. It cast this literal and metaphorical shadow over the streets. Every time a citizen looked up at those towering stone walls and heavily armed guards, it was a dark, constant reminder of the king's absolute power and unyielding oppression. It was the ultimate physical proof of a regime that could silence anyone at any time. For the citizens, as long as the Bastille stood there, freedom was completely impossible. Okay, let's get into the action. Section 3, The Spark of Revolution.
All that tension that had been bubbling under the surface for years, it finally boils over into the streets of Paris on July 14th, 1789. Totally fed up with the starvation and the oppression, thousands of desperate citizens march directly on this terrifying fortress. And they aren't just there to peacefully protest outside the gates. No, they demand weapons. They demand gunpowder to defend themselves against the king's military that's rapidly gathering around the city. And this urgent demand triggers a highly tense, incredibly dangerous confrontation with the heavily armed guards. Negotiations completely break down, shots ring out, and the whole thing just escalates into a full-blown siege. And the climax? The crowd actually breaches the defenses. They storm the Bastille and violently take control. Against literally all odds, the king's impenetrable fortress had fallen to the people.
Moving right along to Section 4, Igniting Global Change.
This moment right here, the fall of the Bastille, it shattered the long-held illusion of absolute royal control in an instant. Overnight, it became this undeniable, powerful symbol of freedom and resistance. But more than anything, it proves something absolutely crucial, that ordinary people, when they are united by a desperate cause, actually possess the power to successfully challenge deeply entrenched rulers and demand justice. This wasn't just a prison break, It was the exact spark that ignited the massive inferno of the French Revolution. That one single day set off a chain reaction that would dismantle the monarchy, completely upend the social hierarchy, and transform the very fabric of society. It proved that absolute power is really just an illusion once the masses decide they've had enough.
Let's wrap things up with Section 5, The Enduring Legacy. So today, the 14th of July, is celebrated every single year as France's national holiday, what the rest of the world knows as Bastille Day. But listen, it is so much more than just a date for military parades and summer fireworks. It serves as this living, permanent monument to freedom and unity. It's a reminder of that profound historical shift where oppressed subjects finally stood up and became empowered citizens. And it stands as a continued symbol for the ongoing fight for equality everywhere. The storming of that prison sparked a flame of liberty that didn't just change France, it went on to inspire countless democratic movements and revolutions across the entire globe for generations to come.
As we bring this explainer to a close, I want to leave you with the final thought to chew on.
The physical walls of the Bastille, sure, they fell to the ground centuries ago, but the core human struggle it represents is totally timeless. What modern fortresses of injustice, whether we're talking physical barriers, societal divides, or systemic inequalities, still exist in our world today? And maybe more importantly, what will it take for ordinary people to unite and tear them down? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible piece of history. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.